Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 7 of Paris-Nice 2024. We have had a remarkable 6 stages already here at Paris-Nice, and this stage 7 should be much of the same as what we've seen throughout this week of Paris-Nice, but the stage has been shorter. It's 104 kilometers, about 65 miles in length, with 2 categorized climbs. First one comes early, but they're still under 6% on the first climb, and then the last climb is the one we got to pay attention to because we know the action is certainly going to be thick and heavy here on stage 7 because it's a 15-kilometer climb, but it's under 6%. As I always tell you guys up here on the Butterfly Effect, as the climbing comes down, the field level comes up and starts to even out more because the speeds are higher. When the speeds are higher on the climb, that means there's a better draft for the riders behind, which means it becomes a tactical game here on the final climb for sure when it's under 6%. Now, everything we've seen throughout stages 1 through 6 on the climbing stages has come down to a tactical game. When I'm watching Peacock, the commentators have talked about yesterday's stage 6, that when Jorgensen's attacking, Skilmos is attacking, and Brandon McNulty are attacking, that the riders are on their hands and knees. That's not exactly correct. What it's really been is Remco Evenepoel has made some mistakes throughout this first week of racing, and he's let some moves slip away. Now, when we look at the interviews, they were fantastic here at Paris-Nice on this stage 7 because Remco says that basically it's come down to what I just got done telling you, a tactical mistakes that he's been making. Now, he has 2 stages to make up time. He's about a minute down on the general classification, and in his interview, he says today's an important stage if he wants to win the general classification to at least make up time on the riders in front of him. I agree with him 100%. You don't have to win it all here on stage 7, but it helps if you can make up some time because a minute down on the general classification is a tall order to make up on one stage. So today is exactly what Remco Evenepoel has said in my mind too. It has to be a stage to make up time if you want to win the general classification. Now, there's one other interview for sure I want to talk about, and that's Primoz Roglic. His interview is fantastic. He says he doesn't have to win Paris-Nice. We all know that the Tour de France is his main objective, and if you look at last year's 2023 season, he came into Trino Adriatico winning stages, but I don't think he was on his best form because he couldn't just dislodge every rider at Trino Adriatico last year. And then when he went over to Catalonia, you saw where he was holding on to the back wheel of Remco Evenepoel, but still won the general classification from tactical mistakes, really celebrating too much for Remco Evenepoel when he won one of the stages and allowed Primoz to come back up and keep the race leader's yellow jersey. So the Belgian kid makes a lot of tactical mistakes, but the interview here from Primoz, what I really liked is he said, hey, when you have good legs, you can go to the front as much as you want, and then basically he says you just ride away from the peloton and do whatever you want. But here he says it's day by day, as we always hear from the Slovenian, and of course, he doesn't have to win Paris-Nice. I love that because it's true. It's the Tour de France that's going to matter the most for Primoz Roglic, and that's what Christian Vande Velde said when he was commenting on Primoz Roglic's comments there too. It's the Tour de France that's the main objective. Don't forget that. Primoz Roglic is in good form here, and if it wasn't for the team time trial when we look further back, he would be higher up on the general classification because no one's been able to drop the Slovenian at any of these finishes. But I think when you look at yesterday's stage 6, when he's attacking there with 30 kilometers to go after the finish line, I think if Remco Evenepoel had went with him and those two could have gotten a gap, you would have seen 2, 3, 4, 5 riders with them. They would have went all the way to the line and we'd see a different scenario versus where it became a tactical battle again on stage 6. And of course, Jorgensen, Brandon McNulty took the race leader's yellow jersey, and Skilmos put himself up there to win the stage. If we take you back from 6 and we go to stage 4, same thing. It's a tactical battle where Remco Evenepoel's Soudal Quickstep didn't bring back those 2 riders with Plapp taking yellow and Santiago Buitrago winning the stage. Every stage has been a tactical battle where the winner or the race leader's yellow jersey, with the exception of the team time trial where UAE team members completely dominated that stage, every one of the other mountain stages, tactical battle. So what will we see today? Of course, it's going to be a tactical battle. Let's get into the stage. Like I said, 104 kilometers. It's a bumpy start. The road is technical, wet, narrow, twisty. I spent 3 years living in Nice here, so I'm familiar with these roads very much. And as they're on the left side of the river coming down, there's going to be twisty, and we see Pseudo Quickstep on the front. They're setting a nasty tempo up there for the riders that are in the back of the peloton. You see the snake road there, descent. If you're in the back, you know you're hurting back there. And with about 60 kilometers to go, we're going to see Finn Fisher-Black coming out the back of the peloton. This starts setting off alarm bells when I'm sitting on the Chesterfield, because the race leader's jersey is UAE Team Emirates Brandon McNulty. He's already lost Soler earlier in the race when he dropped out stages before today's stage 7. Now Finn Fisher-Black's going out the back. You got to believe Niels Paulet's not going to be there deep into the climb, so it's not leaving a whole lot of help there for Brandon McNulty. When we look up front, 2 riders are in the breakaway. Benjamin Thomas from Cofidis and Johan Jacobs from Movistar. Those 2 riders, forget about them. They're going to get caught. There's no way they're going to stay off. But we'll see Jacobs go solo and drop the Cofidis rider from behind. So with that gap only being at 30 seconds, with Quickstep going full gas down this descent that's stringing out the peloton, we're coming into about 30 kilometers to go. They're going to come off the west side of the hill here in Nice, and as they cross the bridge, look how the peloton is strung out and split up all over the place. These guys in the back that are trying to close these gaps, they're going to be sprinting for 500 meters, 1K, 1.5K to try to get this group all the way back up to the front of the peloton. That's how much they've been suffering early here in Paris-Nice. Now, when we look up front, we see 2 groups that are going to come back together. Brandon McNulty only has 1 teammate with him. And in the third group, when you look back there, that's Niels Paulet on the front, just throwing down everything he can in the pedals, because he's got 2 riders back there from UAE Team Emirates, so that's 3 total that he's trying to get back up to help Brandon McNulty. Now, if I back the film up just a little bit before the group 1 and 2 came together, look at Plapp. Plapp's there holding some food, and he's eating a gel. So if he's eating a gel, that means his legs are comfortable at this moment, and that means that group 2 and group 3 back there with Niels Paulet going full gas have been sprinting for 1.5 K basically, trying to bring these 2 and 3 groups back together. Now they'll cross the bridge. Johan Jacobs from Movistar was the first to go across, but with about a 20-second gap. Once we see the field come across the bridge, they're going to make a right turn, and they come into the valley road here that's narrow, twisty, with the cliff side of the rocks there that super narrows up the road, and you have the river running down on the right side of the peloton. This is where it's going to ease up just a tad bit. Niels Paulet's going to go straight to the front and start setting some tempo. A couple of the riders will start taking some nature breaks right here, and you know it's going to be business time here at Paris-Nice Stage 7 after the nature break's done, because with 15 kilometers to go, the climb's going to start proper. But I'm here to tell you, up on the butterfly effect, when they made that right turn with 25 kilometers to go, you only have a few K of a soft 2-3% climbing section there before it really starts going up. So this last climb rated at 15K, it's really more like about 18-20K in my book when I rode it many times when I lived there in Nice. As we see Niels Paulet on the front, he's going to get replaced here from Lidl Trek's Mads Pedersen. Mads Pedersen is putting in a huge effort because we're coming into the climb starting proper, and we're just under 16 kilometers to go with Mads doing a full lead out there because Skilmos is up close in the back, about 5-6 spots behind him. Once the climb starts proper with 15 kilometers to go, this is when Movistar's Jakob gets pulled back and everything's all together. We see Ineos are going to start setting the tempo first. With those guys doing a fine job there, we know Egan Bernal wants a shot at trying to move up on the general classification, but can he make it? I don't think so, but he's riding very good, so can he win a stage? Tactically, it's always possible to win a stage for Egan Bernal with the kind of form he has when it's been a tactical battle throughout the first week here of Paris-Nice. Now, with Ineos on the front, they're going to get replaced because it's time for 4 quick-step riders to go to work. Matteo Cattaneo is the first rider, Vervaeke is the second, Ilan van Wilder is the third, and of course Remco Evenepoel in the Belgium National Championship jersey, our pre-race favorite before Paris-Nice started proper, is sitting fourth wheel. With those guys going hard at the front, things are starting to thin out in the back, and the peloton's coming down to about 30 guys. And we'll see that it's Jay Vine from UAE Team Emirates, which is the next rider to come off the back for Brandon McNulty. That means Brandon McNulty's left with Gross Schartner, who's having a good ride. Luckily for Brandon McNulty, he is, because otherwise he'd be by himself up here at the front of the peloton, because at the back of the peloton, that's Almeida, the Portuguese rider. So UAE Emirates are in trouble right now if Brandon McNulty needs some help. We know right now at the moment with Pseudo Quickstep at the front, Brandon McNulty is able to just follow wheels, but will it stay that way? Well, we're coming up to about 7.5 kilometers to go. Ineos are going full gas with Laurent Deplouse over the Pseudo Quickstep train. With Deplouse leading out Egan Bernal, we notice the time bonification coming up of 6, 4, and 2 second bonuses here with 7 kilometers to go. Egan Bernal does a great job of holding off Ian Van Wilder from Pseudo Quickstep to take maximum 6 second bonus. Ian Van Wilder second and Remco Evenepoel third. Now, if you're sitting on the Chesterfield like I am, you can go, Ian Van Wilder, you made a mistake here. It wasn't really a mistake. In the end, he didn't beat Egan Bernal, so it's just one of those situations where if he had been a little bit stronger and beat Egan Bernal, then of course he would have kept Egan from getting 6 seconds. Instead, he lost, and of course, he held 2 seconds back from his teammate in third there. Remco Evenepoel, the big-time favorite to win the general classification here at Paris-Nice, at least when Stage 1 started proper a week ago. Right now, we see with Ineos, Egan Bernal taking the points. Pseudo Quickstep's going to again take over the front with Ian Van Wilder riding at the front for Remco Evenepoel. Now, things are going to start getting interesting because the peloton's starting to get reduced. We look at the back of the group where Almeida's been suffering a lot there for UAE Team Emirates, but somehow Brandon McNulty's had teammates wrapped around him all the way up to about this point in time. If I take you back to about 7 kilometers to go before that sprint started proper, look at Grossschartner, who'd been right next to Brandon McNulty throughout this whole stage. He pulled over to the left because he started hurting, and he waves Brandon McNulty up. This was a wise thing to do for Grossschartner. You never just want to completely blow. Once you think you're starting to blow, you got to get out of the way if you got your team leader on your wheel, because your team leader is your #1 objective to look after, and Grossschartner has done a fantastic job up to 7 kilometers to go. Once we look back up at the front of the peloton, it's 5.5 kilometers to go. There's 14 riders left. Up front, Van Wilder on the front. Egan Bernal is sitting second, and Remco Evenepoel's third. Jorgensen is fourth, Brandon McNulty's fifth, and Skilmos is there, followed by Roglic, Vlasov, his teammate, Santiago Buitrago still there. Wilco Kelderman is there for the teammate of Jorgensen. Plapp is locked on. Parapintre is having a great ride. Gall is there, and Chris Harper, he's holding on to the back for dear life. I've seen Harper swinging on the back coming up this climb, but he's still there with 5.5 kilometers to go. Now, we're getting into about 5K to go. It's time for Remco Evenepoel to throw an attack. The Belgian rider throws in his big-time acceleration here after Pseudo Quickstep's ridden about 90% of this stage. With that attack, Remco Evenepoel accelerates, looks back over his shoulder, but he's got company. He backs off the throttle, and then we see an attack from Vlasov at 4 kilometers to go. With this attack from Vlasov, he's going solo up there, and there's now turned into that tactical game I had talked about at the beginning of this video, where Remco Evenepoel has put himself in another predicament here, because tactically throughout the whole week of Paris-Nice, he's been making mistake after mistake after mistake, and at this moment, Vlasov's going up the road. Everybody is going to pay attention right now to Remco Evenepoel or Primož Roglic, especially Brandon McNulty and Jorgensen is doing right at this moment, and why Remco Evenepoel is having such a hard Paris-Nice. Now, there starts being another attack from Santiago Buitrago because, of course, the Bahrain victorious rider knows that Vlasov's not a threat for GC, so the GC favorites back there are going to sit up and start paying attention to just the battle for GC instead of the stage with Vlasov. So Santiago Buitrago is trying to make it across to the Russian rider from Bora Hansgrohe. He doesn't, as his moves follow closely behind. Now, Remco Evenepoel has to get back on the front. He'll throw in another attack with 2 kilometers to go, and this is going to blow things up. Egan Bernal is going out the back, and he was leaving just before the attack from Remco Evenepoel, who was, of course, tacking off of the wheel of Wilco Kelderman from Visma Lease bike that was set in tempo. With Remco getting that gap, he's got some company. Primož Roglic is locked on his wheel. Matteo Jorgensen is there, and Santiago Buitrago is there, hoping that Remco Evenepoel will pull back the Russian up front, Bora Hansgrohe. Behind, who's back there? Who's lost a split? Well, it's the race leader, Brandon McNulty from UAE Team Emirates, that's getting gap back there, but he's got Skillmos with him. Brandon McNulty's digging, clawing, trying to do everything he can to hold these front group of GC favorites at a close distance, and then Skillmos jumps the American from UAE Team Emirates and bridges across the gap to put 5 riders in the front group, with Brandon McNulty doing everything he can with a K.5 to go. Up front, Vlasov still solo by himself with about a 15-second gap. He's throwing everything into it because he's got nothing to lose. He's not racing for general classification. Primoz Roglic is getting a free ride back there, not having to do any work with Vlasov up front, so he's going everything into the pedals. Behind, Remco Evenepoel is pulling hard on the front, and finally he says, okay, I've had enough of this, and he swings off the front, and he knows that at this moment, if Matteo Jorgensen from Visma Bike wants race leader's yellow jersey from Brandon McNulty, he's got to get on the front and start pulling. So Jorgensen gets on the front and starts putting some effort into the pedals because he knows he's got a shot at taking the race leader's yellow jersey here at Paris-Nice from the American Brandon McNulty. Now, let me take you back to some pictures. These two have known each other since they were like 14, 15 years of age and raced the whole time, and now they're racing against each other here at Paris-Nice as one's trying to take the yellow jersey from the other. With Jorgensen on the front, he's got 4 riders on his wheel there, and quality riders with Primoz Roglic, Remco Evenepoel, Santiago Buitrago, and Skillmos who bridge the gap. Brandon McNulty still trying to claw and hold on to the race leader's yellow jersey. He doesn't have to bring him back, but he's got to keep him at just about 20 seconds, 23 seconds. Otherwise, he's going to lose the race leader's jersey. Up front, we're going into 50 meters to go. Vlasov looks back over his shoulder, knows he's going to win the stage. It's arms up high and a punch over to show everyone that Bora Hansgrohe are back here at Paris-Nice with a stage race victory for Vlasov, and Primoz Roglic back there still trying to battle for something respectable here on the general classification. Now Jorgensen does a pull all the way into about 100 meters to go. Remco Evenepoel lights up on the pedals. Santiago Buitrago drops off because he's not racing for GC, and first place isn't available, so he's going to save the legs for tomorrow, I imagine. But Remco Evenepoel is going for time bonus. As he pulls across the line, he'll get second. Primoz Roglic will get third. Jorgensen across the line just on the tail end there of that group to gain massive amounts of time on Brandon McNulty, who's still clawing his way back there. Will it be enough to put himself in the race leader's yellow jersey? Will Brandon McNulty hold on to it? Well, Brandon McNulty claws all the way up to the finish line to hold on to the race leader's yellow jersey here at Paris-Nice by 4 seconds over Jorgensen from Visma Bike. Now, when it's all said and done, Vlasov had a great stage. You might think when I'm sitting up here on the butterfly effect, because I told you yesterday he was a knucklehead for attacking. Yesterday's situation was different than today's. If Vlasov catches the group yesterday and starts pulling hard to bring the 3 riders who won yesterday's stage 6 back into the foe, all of a sudden Primoz Roglic would have been closer and have a better shot at winning the general classification when we got here to stage 7. But when Vlasov attacked with 4 kilometers to go here on stage 7, it's more intelligent now because GC's basically very, very small chance of winning for Bora Hansgrohe, so you got to focus on winning the stage, which was what Vlasov did. Yesterday, he was a knucklehead for attacking the group. Today, he is a hero because he wins the stage for Bora Hansgrohe. That's the way I see it. Now, afterwards, when we start looking at the tactics on what's coming up for tomorrow's Stage 8, last and final stage, highlighted by the Col d'Ez, it's going to be an exciting, short, explosive stage again, where again, tactics are going to come into play because Remco Evenepoel's pseudo Quick-Steps team's not super strong, as we saw in the interview from Jorgensen, who said no one team can control the whole peloton here at Paris-Nice, and that's what's making it so exciting and making it a tactical battle, why Remco Evenepoel hasn't been able to win a stage or take the race leader's yellow jersey here. And of course, Primoz Roglic said in his own interview that his legs aren't quite so fresh. So tomorrow is going to be another tactical battle. It's too hard to predict how it will play out, but one thing's for certain, you better tune in, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the venture for tomorrow's last and final stage 8 of Paris-Nice.